Jonah and Jasper's Geography Project. You might be wondering who I am. Well, I am Homework Bot. I quickly do homework for little kids who procrastinate and wait till last minute for their projects. Jasper and Jonah actually paid me $100 for this service. Oh wait, I'm not supposed to say that. Oh well, whatever, it's not like you'll get lower marks. Today I will go over the 4 questions and answers they made for their final project. Question the first. How do we affect our soils? Soil is a non-renewable resource, so it is vital that we preserve it for future generations. However, we don't treat it like non-renewable, and that's wrong. Soil is ultimately why we can eat vegetables and fruits. It is the foundation of vegetation, and we are treating it rather poorly. We ruin soils by expanding cities. By deforestation, we are degrading the soil and its nutrients. Farming is obviously good, correct? Although farming is good, it does increase erosion of the soil and deprives the soil of its nutrients as well, and by doing this we can lose the farmland, lowering our food production and economy. Did you know that half of the world's topsoil has been lost in the last 150 years? We are treating our world so poorly that in a few generations, we won't have most of the world's most vital material. Also, poverty is the cause and effect of soil degradation because the poor rely on natural resources more than the wealthy, Tai Lopez, do. The poor deplete the resources faster, therefore accelerating the process of impoverishment, causing this to happen in a circle, never ending. Our sediment is being washed away into rivers, polluting them and causing decline in fish and clogging waterways. Also in wetland areas, if we increase the erosion of the soil, we could cause floods in those areas. No one wants floods. Man, I bet it was pretty boring for Jasper and Jonah to search up stuff about dirt. On to question the second. How do mines affect the local citizens, First Nations, and the environment? Mines and mining affect us in positive ways as well as not so positive ways. Mines create jobs, which is obviously good. It increases money spent for infrastructure, so more money towards schools, hospitals, and so on. As much as the workers make money, the government makes money as well. This improves our economy and such. However, there are some long-term effects. There is an increased cost of living, which in turn has people moving away from the mine located near them, as well as their job and family, so there is also a job loss. There is an economic downturn and increased crime and antisocial behavior. Also, one of the big problems First Nations are having at the moment is the free entry system. This system allows someone with $400 a year and a prospector's license to claim any land for potential mining use. Emphasis on potential, as most of the time this land is not used for mining unless something valuable is found. By someone claiming this land, all people are to be removed, and sometimes people love to mess with First Nation by claiming land that belongs to them. Now let's talk about the environmental impact. Oh gosh, there's a lot. The impact of mines include erosion, contamination of water and soil. Loss of biodiversity and deforestation are consequences of mines as well. Mines contaminate groundwater and surface water with sulfuric acid and mercury, which will kill the fish and aquatic animals in these waters. These mines destroy habitats directly and also indirectly through the contaminated water, soil, and air. Erosion isn't good either. This ruins vegetation in the nearby vicinity. There are also human diseases that come from mining, such as skin diseases and respiratory diseases like black lung disease. But these effects don't just happen while the mine is there. It is constant long after the mining is finished. Wow! I never knew I could get land for my robot army by just having a prospector's license and $400 a year. Well, the more you know. Question the third. How does the immigration process work? In order to be a legal immigrant and become a citizen of Canada, you have to do a lot of stuff. If part of your family lives in Canada, your family in Canada would have to sponsor you. The sponsor would need to submit a form to a place in Mississauga. Then you send a form to Mississauga also with some money, around $1,000. These forms include your normal info stuff like names and birth, but they also include stuff like if you are a woman and you were married before January 1, 1947. Also if you were born before January 1, 1947. Now you may ask, why January 1, 1947? Well, this is when the Canadian Citizenship Act was enacted. This meant that being a Canadian citizen was different from being a British one. Another question on this application form is if one of your parents or grandparents worked for another government or international agency, or as we like to put it, was one of your ancestors a spy? So the next part of this answer will be about the process to get into Canada if you want to work here. If you wish to come to Canada for work, you first have to make a profile on a certain website, then on that profile put why you would want to work in Canada. Then if you could be selected to come to Canada. When that happens, you will get some forms to fill out. We were not able to find out what was on these forms. Mostly because there is such a huge list of forms on the Canadian government website that we didn't know which one was right. Then the forms are reviewed by a selected official. Then if the forms check out, you send over your passport and some money, exact amount not found. If they like all that stuff, then you get your work visa and get to live in Canada for work. Yes, with this knowledge I can now fulfill my dream of being a lumberjack in Canada. May question the fourth P with you, get it? It's a Star Wars joke. How can we make communities more sustainable? We can make communities more sustainable by thinking about the consequences of our actions and what is best for the environment and community. We can start off by laying some ground rules. No pesticides would be a good first rule, as pesticides are designed to kill, and they aren't designed to kill a certain species, so this can harm humans as well as other species that aren't pests. Don't pollute water or wildlife. This sounds very basic but is still a problem nowadays. Litter still makes its way into water, harming aquatic species and other animals in the wildlife. Pollution is a big problem, so why not take the bus? Buses and carpooling is key to making a community more sustainable, with less cars on the road, less pollution in the air. How about you bike to your friend's house instead of taking a 5-minute drive? Your community could use renewable resources like hydro, solar, or wind. I know not all of these might be available where you live. But these energy sources are a key advantage in a sustainable community. Instead of buying exotic fruits and vegetables, you should take advantage of nearby food and agriculture. This is very important nowadays because you don't know what or where the exotic fruits have been. We can reduce carbon and greenhouse gases. Like we were talking about, if you have renewable energy sources readily available, why not use that instead of carbon? You can have town hall meetings discussing this list and the adjustments you make to your old ways of life. You humans really got to stop polluting. Seriously, you should have handled this by now. Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed this shoddy production of a project. We hope this raises Jasper's mark to above an 80, or else I have been told he will not be seen again. If any of you procrastinating students would like to use my services, you can contact me at bob@gmail.com. Thanks again for not falling asleep.